Well, hello everybody.
Hello.
It's nice to meet you all. I haven't got everybody's name, but I got to see everybody's faces. So, Brother Philip gave me the opportunity, obviously you guys heard, to share a little bit of my testimony. If I would go into all the details of my whole testimony, we would be here until probably 1 or 2 o'clock in the a.m.
Wow.
And I don't think Philip wants to stay up that late, so I'll keep it short. But I'll start off with a little bit of where I come from. I am American, but I come from Amish country. Amish people come originally from Switzerland, but they came to America in the 1800s. So I grew up, and when they moved to America, they lived a very simple life. They lived a life with doing everything with horse and buggy, or their transportation is horse and buggy. You have this pretty much a black box on wheels. You sit in and you drive the horse with reins. And so if you want to go to the city, you sit in the buggy, you go to the city, to the grocery store, and if you need to go to the neighbors, you take the horse, you go. If you need to do farming, you take the horses, hitch the horses up. So everything takes a long time. It's not like jump in the car, go to the store, it will take 15 minutes. So that's where I grew up Amish, not knowing much of what's in the world. I mainly knew what my mom and dad taught me, which was how to do the farming, how to milk cows, how to go to school, wake up in the morning, and I helped do the chores. First thing in the morning was help do the chores, go to school, come home, do the chores, go to bed. That was a routine, and it became growing up, and I went to 8th grade, and then the Amish people, they're done with school, and because they're all about the simple life, you only need to know the simple reading, and then you're good, because after school you work, and then that's your lifestyle. And if you're in the Amish community, if you stay in the Amish community, that's okay with not having any education. But if you have only 8th grade education and you decide that you want to leave the Amish, it becomes a problem. Not a problem, but it becomes more difficult when you get into the world and you want to do ministry and you want to do missions, but you don't know anything other than 8th grade, up to 8th grade level, and you just don't know as much. You're not as knowledgeable. But saying all that, I love how I grew up, because it did shape me, the person who I am now. I went through a lot of hard times with me and my dad. We didn't, growing up, it was just a routine of work, school, work, and then after I graduated from 8th grade, I started working all the times. And as a teenager, when I turned a teenager, I knew that I didn't want to live this lifestyle anymore. I was tired of it. So I told my dad, I'm not going to live this lifestyle all of my life. And he looked at me straight in my eyes and said, you don't have a choice. He said, you were born Amish, so you're going to be Amish, and that's the only way you can get to heaven. Growing up, Mom and Dad, we went to church, Mom and Dad. So the Amish, they also believe in salvation, but they don't believe that it's a guarantee for you to get into heaven. They think it's like a safety, like they believe in salvation. It doesn't completely make sense to me, and they can't explain it to me that I understand, because they don't understand. But it's never taught in the Amish church what full salvation actually means. So, hearing that from my dad, where he was like, that's the only way to heaven is because you were born Amish, so you need to stay Amish. So that was really difficult for me. But something told me that I literally had no idea of how I can get out of the Amish community. because I didn't know anything outside of that. But there was something in my heart and something that kept bugging me, like just figure it out, like something will come out, there will be a way that I can get out. And when I turned 16, 17 years old, I started doing Rumspringa, which is like the rebellious stage. You go and hang out with your friends, you start drinking, I started smoking, and this was before becoming baptized in the Amish church. And so I did that for a couple of years and started wearing English clothes, but I could never walk out of the house with English clothes. That's another remark that said none of my children will ever walk out of my front door wearing jeans instead of the normal pants. So I was tricky for a couple of years. I just wore my jeans, put on my jeans and put on my regular clothes over my jeans. That was until Dad realized, why is his legs so thick, or why is his pants don't look right? And so the one night, I would always feel guilty, of course, because I was doing something my dad wouldn't allow. So every night before I go down the stairs to go out the front door, I would look out towards the barn to see, make sure Dad's out there, so I can, run through the house and get out before he catches me. Because once I'm out, it's okay, because he'll never catch me after I'm out the door. And so I thought, of course, he's still in the barn. And last time I looked out the window, and I go down the stairs, and of course I go down the stairs, look around, because I'm guilty. I look around and nobody's there, and start walking out. There's a hallway before you get out the front door. Start looking out, walking normal, and right as I was at the get to the doorstep, Dad stands right there in front of me and says, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "Just going to hang out with my friends." And he's like, "Why are you wearing that?" Then I said, "What? I'm wearing my Amish clothes and all." He's like, "I'm not stupid. I can see you're wearing another shirt underneath. I can see your other pants underneath." He wrestled me in the front of the yard because I couldn't get loose for 2 hours. Me and my dad wrestled, argued, screamed at each other. But finally, I gave up and said, okay. I went, changed clothes, went and hung out with my friends. I started taking a backpack every weekend with my other pants instead of wearing them right away. I looked like a fool because all of my other friends, they could just walk out the front door with their English clothes. But at least I was wearing them. Like, I got out and I got to hang out with my friends, and I just went to a corner, switched clothes, and put my backpack somewhere else. So that worked for a while, but then Dad got into that. So it went on to where I was like, well, I need a car. If I want to get out, I need a car. I bought a car and decided to come home on a Sunday night at 2 o'clock and park like 500 feet down the road, because Dad won't know, he'll be sleeping. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Of course, I go park and walk up, and I walk in the front door and check everything, every corner. It was dark, but I still checked every corner because I was guilty, and I was just double checking just to make sure I'm good. And I check every corner, over to the stairs, check the corner, walk up the stairway, check the hallway, every corner of the hallway. There was nobody there. I walk into my bedroom. The minute I put my wallet on my nightstand, I hear my dad's voice at my door. And he said, "Why did you bring that home? I told you you cannot bring the car. You know better." And I said, I already bought it, so I have to keep it. And he said, "Here's your options. Either you can leave, or you and the car leave." And I was like, okay, that's fine. I had no place to go other than go sleep in the car, but that was better for me. I felt that was better for the future for me than getting rid of the car. So I started, my dad was there, my mom came up by then. I started packing clothes into my garbage bags. I filled 2 garbage bags and he was just standing there talking like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I was like, I'm packing my clothes. You just told me I can't stay unless I get rid of the car or we both, either both go or the car goes. And I said, well, I'm packing my clothes because I'm leaving with the car and not the car by itself. And he's like, well, I'm not letting you get out the door. Not in this stage, because I know you. He said, if I let you walk out that door right now, you will never come back.
Oh.
And I said, that's probably true. So we argued for about another hour about me getting through the door. He wouldn't let me get through the door. Then he said, I'll let you get up in the morning, go to work, but when you come home, the decision has to be made. Either you go or you and the car go. That still stands. The next day I go to work and come home and I take a shower and I grab my 2 bags and put them on my shoulder and get in the car and drive. At that time, I didn't have license, so I'm driving around illegal with no place to go because my dad kicked me out, and he gave me the option of staying, obviously, but I couldn't stay with the car. So I decided, well, that leaves me with one option, and I was sleeping in the car. So I drove around in the evenings, no license, 2 bags of laundry in the back of my car. It was a green Dodge Durango, so I could lay the 2 back seats down. I could have a nice bed, but it was just the idea. So I drove around until it was dark. Then I would park at a public school parking lot, and I would roll up all my windows, and I would lay the seats down, and I would lay in the back there. There was always this side, or this, like, the things going into through my mind of what just happened. I'm sleeping in a car. I don't have another place to go, and the only way to go back home and to have a bed and a house and food that are on the table usually every day is if I get rid of my vehicle. But I needed the vehicle to leave damage. So that ended up being for like 2 weeks, and then my dad called me and was like, Jacob, I really I can't handle it anymore. You just have to come home. We'll figure something out. So I come home, and I parked the car exactly where I parked it the first time, and he was like, and everything was good. Our relationship was broken by then, but we still, we could only talk like, hi, bye, how are you? And other than that, it was just, any type of conversation ended with arguing, getting angry at each other, whether it was a reason or no reason. It was, some of it was my pride, some of it was his pride, and we're just being, just what we went through. But so it worked for me to come home for about a week or 2 weeks at a time, and then I would go through the same process. He would get fed up, and he would be so tired, and he couldn't handle it anymore. And so I just finally, after I was just getting tired, more and more tired of this whole process, so I got a job offer in South Carolina, which is 5 states away. I don't know how many miles it is away, but it was 5 states away, so I was like, yeah, sign me up. I'm out of here. I don't have to worry about Dad. I can have my alone time. I can do whatever I want. And everything was great. So I moved to South Carolina. Everything was great. My job was good. But only for like 6 months. And then everything started breaking down. And it was just, the job got slow. I didn't have enough money, make enough money for paying rent. I ended up eating cereal with water for like 3 days, 3 meals a day. And I remember scraping at that time I didn't have my Durango anymore. I was using my boss van. But one thing I do remember is I thought you can always find one more penny in a vehicle. Like, you sit in a vehicle with change in your pockets and it falls out while you're driving, and then you think, you'll get it later. And I searched through that van so many times to try and find one more penny, because I had this little pile of pennies that if I can save enough pennies, I can have one burger for one meal instead of one bowl of cereal with water. So that was different. Yeah. Anyway, so that I had to do that for about a month and a half, and my boss was like, "Work so slow, I got to get rid of the business." So I'm moving back to Ohio. And during that process of him planning when he's moving back, he said, if you drive one car back, I'll let you move back. I'll let you get a ride with your stuff and everything back with me. All you have to do is drive one vehicle. And so I was like, that's awesome, that's great. And so I moved back, and one of my cousins just left Amish also during the time, and he was staying by himself, so he was like, I'll let you, you can stay with me. He was like, I understand, your dad doesn't like you and you just don't get along, so why don't you just move in with me? And I was like, perfect, there we go. And Dad did invite me to move back into the house, and he's like, it'll be okay, we'll figure something out. But I knew the process, it will only take a matter of time. And so I moved in with my cousin, and during that time, I started going to church. I actually started going to church in South Carolina, but I want to sum it up soon because we're at the mark. So yeah, I started going to church in the process, and I just felt like God really has a lot more that He wants to do through me for everything He's brought me out of. I knew that God had a bigger plan for me than just that where I was right then. So I started going to church. I gave my life. The church had an altar call one morning. I went up and I prayed and I asked for my sins to be forgiven. Just invited God and the Holy Spirit to come into me. And ever since that moment, I have been on fire. I've been wanting to share God wherever I go, whatever I do. And there's always been, after one short-term missions trip, I was like, there's more. There's more. I want more. And there was just, every time I did short-term mission trips for a while, I did 6 months mission trip, and now I'm doing years of missions here in Thailand. Wow. So that's where I'm at now. And our journey as a family, we moved here to Thailand a little over a year ago, and we're planning to be here for 6+ years, 10 years. So wherever God leads from there, that's who I am.
Wow.
Great, thank you.
Great.